According to the theme, we are now live. This is Happy Valley Hobbies. My name is Mr. Katie, and I'm sharing hobbies hobbies that make me happy. This is my first live video, so obviously things are a little off the cuff. I was planning on a Zoom meeting, but YouTube would not let me do it, so I'm doing it live through YouTube itself. And so here we are. The idea for today is sort of like resolutions, because today is December 31st, 2012. And did my best to invite everybody, but that was to the Zoom meeting, not to YouTube. So I'm talking to a camera by myself. But it is one of those things of, as rough as this is going so far, because I'm practically an hour late than I originally planned, but life happened. And so it's basically, slowly learning on how to do this. Basically, it's the resolution for 2022 is starting a YouTube channel and going from there. And hopefully my skills from doing this are transferable to employment, because currently I am unemployed. That will be changing soon eventually, changing skill sets and etc. Because normally I play with electronics, not necessarily with data. My first major hobby was model trains. And that's what this channel will at first sort of concentrate on. But then there's also sub hobbies for model trains, like electronics. Model trains was sort of the gateway to get into electronics. Another thing is that another sub hobby would be scenery and painting. And it's also learning on how not to go eat at it. Also, try to be more confident in front of the camera. And also, learning on how to do live streams better, scripting better, hosting live streams, and everything along those lines. And it's one of those things of a good thing about having this live stream very rough in the beginning, because possibly even cringeworthy in the future, is that basically what you have to, I have to go up is to be better and better. And that's what the plan is for 2022. Well, constant improvement is always a good thing. Right now, as of this time, I have apparently 31 subscribers, and that's thanks to the Sidetrack Sunday team, which is Ray Babel, Rick Fulstov, and Grandpa Rails, which I don't know his name. I don't know him too well. They actually, when I said that, one of the things at Sidetrack Sunday, they basically said, hey, it's like, put up your subscribers and all that. And well, I put up one because, well, that's how many I had at the time. And at the end of that, I had 20, I believe it was 25 subscribers by the time they try to find my channel and go from there. One of my plans is, do as many collaborations and have like a mentor to sort of, get me through the initial hump of 1,000 users or subscribers, I should say. Get to understand the the different language that YouTube uses. Every industry has its own nomenclature. Uh, and that's pretty much at this point. Well, there's one thing I need to actually do is actually look at the chat because there's actually two people that are here. Well, hello, hello. I am not talking into a blank camera. Uh, and as I said, trying to, learn this fun stuff and all that. But Ray Ron, which I actually know from uh, New Tracks Modeling, he was a moderator on the Saturday shows, which might become a thing again with New Tracks Modeling. That's actually some of the stuff that I've learned on how to do is through New Tracks. Then there's Dwight Curley, if I'm reading that correctly, and Joe Rader from Black Rock Central Railroad. So, hi there. It's actually probably a smart thing to do is move it to the right monitor. So I'm more looking at you instead of sideways. Yes, very fun times. And it's very appreciative with Jim Kello, who started New Tracks Modeling, because it was learning the skill on how to do how New Tracks was. Sort of is giving me the confidence of being able to do stuff here. One of the things that sort of threw me off today was I did not realize it's in camera. I wound up buying a new storage cabinet, and it wound up being delivered at the same time I should have been going live, but it's one of those things of life happens. But yeah, my now that YouTube has let me do live stream on YouTube itself, then maybe Zoom possibly works. But that'll be for next week. My plan is to do live streams on Friday. Well, you are seeing myself, Dwight. And it's one of those things of right now trying to be more comfortable on live in front of the camera. I'm pretty much sort of like what Heath was, or sort of like more comfortable behind the camera instead of in front of it. But this is all Heath's fault. It's like, oh, you should do a YouTube channel. Do a YouTube channel. It's like, okay, here I am. But I am slowly trying to figure out small little details on how to get everything working properly. And I'm actually thinking the reason why I took 11 or 12 o'clock for my first live was because of it's New Year's Eve, so there's parties going on, and most of the parties that I'm planning on going to are at least an hour away, starting at around 7 o'clock. So I'm actually thinking of for a schedule right now is Friday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And right now, I'm not really worried about how everything's not going to be perfect because, well, YouTube apparently there's you have to do stuff long term before the algorithm for YouTube says, oh, this is what they're aiming for. So I'm using like the first quarter as a learning experience of all right, here's what not to do. Learning on how to do editing. So I have a small little intro and also outro, and using both TubeBuddy and what's the other one? There's another one out there that let's say Q something, um, that QRI, or I just signed up for it today, so I'm not quite sure exactly what it is. Uh, vidIQ Vision. Uh, sort of like, uh, one YouTuber basically says, are these, they're pretty much duplicating what YouTube Studio does. However, it actually makes it easier to, I guess, comprehend. They have a different UI on it to make things a lot of, a lot easier to either new people, or the suggestion is like, if you have a big, huge, if you have a big, huge channel and you got multiple people and all that, that might be a easier way for the team to work on stuff and all that. So since right now it's me, myself, and I, it sounds like a good idea of uh, getting used to what YouTube analytics are. And that's my thought process on that. Um, but I will be doing. Uh, the reason why I picked Hobbies instead of Railroad is basically for, uh, I've not sure how this is, but I've heard that people who were very famous model YouTube model railroaders like Kathy Millett, Luke Townend, that come to the top of my head, is that, when they do model railroad content, they don't get as many views as if it's more generic. So that's why I decided to go with Hobbies instead of railroading, uh, because of that. And not only that, I would think that it keeps things a little bit more fun on my side, because now I'm not focused on one extreme thing. I can go, I was like, oh, I can do, you know, one of the things I want to do is learning on how to do a backdrop, or it would be sort of like landscape painting and all that, something I haven't done before. Well, hello, Randall, and how are you? Uh, you missed the beginning, so it's one of those things of I've been babbling on, or as uh, there's a British guy, which I want to say his name is Nick. It's a woodworking channel. It's like, I guess the British term is waffling. Uh, and it's one of those things of I'm planning on. Well, the original plan was an hour and actually have people join me, but since I um, wasn't able to get Zoom working properly and etc. I'm just using regular YouTube and swinging at that. Also looking at hi, the train freak. I blanking out on your name at this specific time. It takes me a while to actually get people's names down. Uh, but thank you for popping in. Randall just woke up and saw the notification. So, yay! It's nice to know that things are working properly. Um, even though I have no clue what I'm doing, I'm just hitting buttons and just going, okay, there you go. But it's actually nice to see people here. Thank you. Standing on the Amtrak platform at Longview, Texas. Well, I'm from Arlington, Vermont, and I'm sort of like, if you have a very good throwing arm, you might be able to hit the Arlington railway station, which right now is no longer active. It's a private residence. Uh, but it's one of those things that I would There's a lot of times it's like, gee, it'd be cool to actually be, living that close to railroad tracks, and then having to realize that's probably not the smartest thing because, well, you're sleeping and all of a sudden you're hearing the train blowing for the crossing. Uh, ooh. So, Randall, is going to be on your next YouTube channel or next YouTube video? Hey, Humanity Junction, it's all your fault. Yeah, I was finally able to. I couldn't get it through Zoom. YouTube wasn't allow. It wasn't allowing me the option, so I turned around and uh, tried YouTube it straight itself, and here I am. And so now I got to figure out. Yep, it's all his fault. Of course, I don't have a blame Heath T-shirt. Instead, the T-shirt I got says "I like machines," and it's from the National Precision Museum in Windsor, Vermont. I'm actually on the. It's actually an hour in a mountain range away from my house, and it's pretty interesting on how some of the manufacturing equipment they have there. Nice. There is a review for your new toy. Um, that's one of the things I'm actually, speaking of reviews, I am thinking of this is what my plan is that doing live shows on Fridays at 7 o'clock at Eastern Standard Time, and also doing sort of recorded content also once a week. Um, and then got a big guy here, Heath. He never comes to my live stream. Uh-oh. That looks like a challenge, Heath. Actually, wait a minute. This is uh the time now is 12:04. Shouldn't you be at work, Heath? Just wondering. That was it. Wasn't it the reason why you being at work was the reason why you gave up the 11:30 slot? Don't know. Well, it looks like Dwight is getting another person on their live stream. Oh, now if I can find a way to keep my nose from getting itchy during these things. Um, Now I'll be up after the New Year's. Well, that makes sense because New Year's is technically within hours from now. Well, that's one thing I found out with this group is that you might say something jokingly and all that, and all of a sudden it's like next thing you know, you're uh, doing something that you didn't plan on doing. I know a friend of mine, or more of an acquaintance. They're not really close, but they were giving as presents. This was about 6 months ago. They're saying, "All right, it's like I want to give out tiaras to everybody." So of course, all the women are going like, "Oh yeah," and I just out of a joke, said, "Oh yeah, I'll take one too," and all that. Next thing I know, I have a tiara. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I wore it, took a picture, just to say that I received it and all that. But that's about pretty much. That's all I've done with it. Yeah, that's one of the things of how my current setup came across was with new tracks modeling. I started out with a BlackBerry Key 1, but unfortunately that was the software was causing the thing to overheat. So I got a BlackBerry Key 2. That was sort of kind of overheating also. Blackberries are great for security, but apparently don't do live streaming very well. So I wound up getting a well, actually, first I got the computer because of 3D printing, but then I wound up actually getting a hard line. All right, see you soon, Randall. Um, but it's one of those things of that's why I wound up getting a hard line. Um, Funny story on how I got the the installation of the cable was uh, you had an option of have somebody come in, of course, paid for it and all that, or do it yourself. Well, I know, like I went to college for electronics and stuff like that. I'm like, all right. No, BlackBerry was made by BlackBerry. They're still in business. However, they've got out of hardware. Um, they just do security programs now. The key ones were built by a China company. They were licensed out to a China company. In fact, this is what the key 2 looks like. But when this is not 5G compatible, so I had to go to a Samsung. But yeah, BlackBerry's very long history and all that. But yeah, they're not making the. Well, the reason why I went with the BlackBerry was the keyboard. It's actually a touch-sensitive keyboard, so you can turn the spacebar doubles as the fingerprint sensor, but also you might not be able to see it, but the keyboard also acts as the little thumb wheel. Well, hello, Andy Ambrose. I vaguely understands French. Uh, I know the bonjour, but the rest I don't get. Yeah, BlackBerry. It's that's the thing is that technology, taken properly, still works. In fact, I got 3 monitors. The monitor on this side I actually got from uh, oh, but yeah, this monitor over here is a television that I traded in for a CRT television because the guy is rebuilding old video games. And the monitor on this side, it was a flat screen VGA made by Xerox. Unfortunately, it was starting to make noises and it was making a clicking sound. So I took it apart and I'm like, this is all solid state. It shouldn't be making a clicking sound. But I have a CRT VGA now connected in that location. And it's very odd having a curved screen because for so long using a flat screen. But the VGA, I mean, geez, that's at least 20 years old, maybe even 25. I haven't looked at the back of it yet. The plastic is yellow as can be. I mean, it's beyond the beige color. It's actually turning into a dark, almost like a cardboard colored orange. But but uh, apparently it still shows up as 4 participants. So thank you for everyone who answered the notifications. Um, I Since I could not get Zoom working properly, I did not know if anyone's gonna. Well, I didn't know people were going to show up because I thought I was going to be talking to a blank screen and not realizing uh, I haven't used YouTube Live Studio, so I'm flying a little blind here. But apparently things are going well. Um, and it's one of those things. I'm not sure if you were here earlier, Andy, but this is all Heath's fault. You know, you should start a YouTube channel. Andy Ambrose, you are 20 years old. Okay, so that's the case. I'm thinking of a completely different person then. Sometimes it's a little hard to put a face with the name. I have a hard time doing that in real life and all that. And here I am trying to do it um, online. But yeah, everything's his fault. Absolutely, completely. But since he's the one that since Heath is one of the ones that are uh, oh, Andy looks like a sailor from high seas for 100 years. I I would have to relook at what his pitch. Right now, I'm not picturing what his face looks like. So uh, for some reason, I'm thinking uh, an Australian guy behind a virtual desk. Is that correct? Okay, I would have to say my face isn't the greatest either, especially missing teeth. Uh, oh, that's Marty. Okay, so I got the Y part of it right. English. Okay, so I was right on the non-American. So I was correct on the non-American. Uh, so yeah, I'm not. I'm completely drawing a blank on your face now. Which, as you said, don't picture it. So, uh, but my you do speak Australian sometimes. Well, there was one time I used to work for this one company that was a Spanish German consortium, and one particular day I was uh, working with some of the teams and a customer of ours, which was from Bombardier. Uh, Company made heating and air conditioning units for rail cars, and there was one time it was sort of like one day I was feeling a little silly and all that, and I took a um, it wasn't a complete line. I sort of riffed on uh, a line from Robin Hood Men in Tights. Okay, pretending to be Australianese. All right. So the thing is that doesn't help. I still can't picture you. But the thing is that there was a line from Robin Hood Men in Tights where the main character Robin Hood is saying goodbye in many different languages. So I sort of did the same thing. I said, you know, with the languages that were there. So I turned around and said goodbye, adios, au revoir, and I left the room. And the customer from Bombardier, his head sort of kind of snapped, going like, "Hmm?" But the thing is that I didn't think about it, and I just kept on going. About a month later, being silly again, I did the same thing. And he got the same reaction out of the guy from Bombardier. And I'm thinking, all right, I need to figure out this is on both were on a Friday, so it's one of those things of had to wait until Monday to uh, figure out what was going on. So I asked him the next Monday, I said, why did you have that perplexed look on your face? And he turned around and says, you said it without an accent. I'm like, I have a French Canadian accent? But, you know, all right. Welcome back, Randall. And yeah, I was with that company for 3.5 years and went through, if I remember correctly, 5 general managers uh, and 2 name changes. Basically, what had happened was, as I said, all right, well, I'll either see you later, Heath, or if not, Happy New Year. Uh, and don't cut yourself. Uh, and that totally derailed me. Uh, but it was definitely an interesting company. If I Yeah, so am I. I'm sort of glad it's not exactly what I was aiming for, but I found a workaround to at least say hi. Uh, uh, I am not planning on a New Year's broadcast tonight. That's why I'm doing it early. My plan is to eventually sort of hopefully take a 7 p.m. Friday night Eastern Standard Time slot. Because one of the things I have noticed with this particular broadcast is the windows are behind the camera, and I do not have control over it. So having them at night, basically, I have I can turn on and off lights because right now although window shades are closed and it's still I'm I'm definitely a pasty white boy. Uh, is Dick Clark still alive? I honestly don't know. I mean, it's like Dick Clark is sort of almost starting to remind me when I was growing up, George Burns. Yeah. Nope. Yeah, I didn't think he was alive. I haven't watched a New Year's countdown in you know a long time. Usually, I'm at a place where all of us are chit chatting and all that, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second, here's the thing. Yeah, I forgot what year it was. Okay, 10 years ago. All right. As I said, I haven't really been watching the countdowns. Usually at a party where all of a sudden it's like, hey, the countdown's on, and it's like everything stops for about 30 seconds. The countdown goes, and then it goes, back to where it's at 82. So that means he was born in 1930, just when the Depression hit. Okay, so what is the theme for this uh, live setup is basic basically resolutions and what you're planning on doing for next year. Um, Earlier, I said what I was, some of the things that I was planning on doing, like starting a YouTube channel. Blame Heath. Uh, and I've also earlier on, I also sort of, what some of the things I'm thinking on doing. Uh, let's see. Texas got heavily in commercial where he was in where the bellhop kept aging, but Clark and his car did not. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's sort of like I remember, sort of. I didn't think they did the same thing with the uh, George Burns, because George kept himself busy, so you didn't. He didn't. He didn't stay the same. It's like he did towards the end. Started, looking his age. I forgot what George Burns when he died. If I remember correctly, it was he had plans to do something in 2000, but he died before that, if I remember correctly. Hmm. And that would have been Clark. Uh, Dick Clark would have been in his 70s. I think when George Burns passed away, I think he was in his 90s. But it was sort of the same joke of he doesn't die. Uh, my only plans for 22 so far are going to make some plans for 2022. Well, you have some hours to go before that happens. Because if I remember correctly, you're not New Year's hasn't hit you yet, so you have time. Yeah, I also do have plans that are beyond obviously the YouTube channel, um, because of well, I'm more than a YouTuber. Uh, One is to be reemployed. Uh, A roof on the house. That's nice. I'm I'm going to assume there's a roof on it now. You're replacing the roof, but that's my assumption. Um, One is to get a new vehicle. Um, I have a Honda Fit, which has served me very well. Um, but like a lot of Northeast vehicles, the engine's still ready and willing to go, but the body's rotting away, which is Vermont. I guess instituted a newer law last year where the body cannot have any sharp edges on it. And when things start rusting away, of course, you get things that are, especially around the wheel wells where things start getting sharp because things are slowly rusting away. And so now my car has aluminum tape on the wheel wells and all that. So it looks like a very badly put together racing stripe. The original roof was over 70 years old. So, yeah, I know there's uh, I'm trying to think of this. It's a church in Albany that has a temporary roof on it. They haven't been able to put what they want as a roof on it, so it has a temporary roof. And from what I understand, the temporary roof is 250 years old because it was supposed to get like a this ricotta style type roof on it, but they could never get the money for those specific tiles. My work plans are to build a park and ride car with solar panels and run us an all electric fleet of buses that do not rely on imported fuel. My realities might be somewhat different. Joe Rader has my only plan is to live to see 2023, 24, etc. I got it fun along the way. The only real new stuff that will appear on Randall's channel will be pre-orders that come in, and maybe depending on how things go, a new piece here and there. And that is definitely a good plan. Uh, that's what Andy is saying to Joe. Uh, some of the reviews on stuff I'm planning on doing is basically things that I bought and never put together. It's uh, the first one is going to be a hunter line trestle. Everything has been already been filmed. It's just hasn't been edited. Uh, there are some things that I might do review on stuff that I have built. That's relatively new. Uh, through I got a lot of recent kits from Conguino Models, if I'm saying that right. And if I'm not, sorry, Mr. Course. Chris Course is the proprietor of Conguino Models. I bought let's see, I want to say maybe 7 different pieces. Uh, I'm saying different because I actually bought 4 box cars and 4 flat cars, so it's one of those things that they're the same exact kit, just in multiples. Um, most of his stuff is also laser cut, and Chris Course also does. I'm blanking on this on the segment on new tracks. Uh, but it's basically people showing off their different models and all that. A lot more layout running in 2022 takes replace from people who want to see a certain piece of equipment to run. If I can run it on my layout. Yeah, that's one of the things that I mean. I am in the process of building my layout. I got the track relayed because I had it all laid out and all that, and then it's like, oh wait a minute, I need to actually turn around and seal it first. Um, well, well, Joe, it's like it's. I'm going to say minimum editing because I'm practicing right now, so I'm not really too concerned on some of the layouts or the videos that I have because they're pretty much long. I'm trying to say stuff during the video and all that, and right now it's just practice. So it's they're probably going to be cringeworthy. Basically, thinking about adding an intro and outro. not really doing too much editing on it. Figuring out what the pace is and go from there. Um, and right now it's for at least the first quarter, it's going to be a learning experience on stuff like that. If I trip over the tripod, you get to see it. All right. Well, my setup over the workbench is not on a tripod. It's probably a lot more jankier with threaded rod and things like threaded rod, zip ties, and turnbuckles. So it's one of those things that if I do something wrong, all of a sudden my not the camera, but the phone is bouncing up and down and all that. But I just recently got some. Actually, I'm actually looking at the. Let's see, where's the second one? Uh, I did get some uh, a webcam that they were sort of in the discount pile, so it's one of those things of all right, this is slightly soon to be out of date technology and all that. They were in the being in the clearance bin. Got two of them. One neat feature on this specific style is that it has its own built-in light ring, which let's see. As you can see, things do get a little bit brighter, but right now during the daytime, it's sort of pointless. And another thing that I had, which because I was trying to get on YouTube, I didn't actually connect it, so I have no clue how the sound is. But I do have a blue snowball microphone, but right now I didn't hook it up because I was just trying to get on. So I'm using a microphone I think that came built in with the computer. So I'm assuming it's not particular fantastic. Let's see, I don't do any shot and post. If I don't like it, then I don't watch. Any cars 80-foot plus can't really run on my layout. The curves are tight for these cars. They're club only cars. That includes an Automax. All right. I actually have, three, what I want to call three sets of trains. What I'm thinking about doing is something similar to what Dan Kamenowski does on his channel. Retro reviews, taking over Lowe's and learn. That is interesting. Let's see. All right. I'll have to double check his channel. That's actually one of the things some of the reviewing I would have to do, since I have three sets of trains, or three sets of train sets, I guess you would call them. The current one that I'm playing with is the 1870 stuff, which a lot of the stuff that I've been able to get a hold of is old Mantua Tycho Pucher, I think it's called, which I guess was imported by AHM. Older style equipment and etc. Some of those older stuff and all that, I wouldn't probably be reviewing them. I would be sort of like, hey, here's how to modify them. Like a lot of the 1870 locomotives, they're tender drive. So there's a drive shaft that goes through the where the firebox is and etc. Uh, since motors have been can be made smaller and all that, uh, I'm actually thinking on finding a way to take the drive shaft out and replace it with a N scale or Z scale motor. My layout is only 8 foot long, so it's there. You know, no, you're not going to have massively long trains. I mean, I think 5 is going to be the way to go. 5 and a combine is probably yeah, 5 freight cars and a combine is probably the biggest thing I'm going to be able to get on that. Yeah, you could put a long drawbar on it. Uh, yeah, very weird. Trying to go around corners. Uh, that's, I think that's one of the disadvantages with modern equipment is that when you're trying to go around excuse me, a toy scale curve, there's nothing you can do to make it look right. That's one of the advantages of doing the 1870s. Uh, the longest freight car I think is 36, and I think the passenger cars at that era were normally around 60. So they look, going around a sharper turn, they look more practical. Also, I think at that time period, locomotives uh, they looked prettier because they were wood burners, and the cinders from wood burning would not cause the paint to burn off, whereas coal apparently was hot enough to actually start destroying uh, the colors and all that. So that's why a lot of them went to pure black. It wasn't until the streamliners came along that they've added colors back in, but they try to. Uh, yeah, usually they wound up staying with very dark colors, so the black wouldn't show up too well. They definitely did not have a Lionel pink locomotive. The second set that I have, uh, the layout is based on T-track or the concept of T-track. Um, the modulars are a foot deep by 18 inches long. That includes the corner modules, uh, and that's in the process of being it's put away now. But the idea on it is going to be a city scene, and it's going to be streetcars because it seems that streetcars, the radius of HO scale H yeah HO scale streetcar is similar to an N scale mainline uh, radius. Yeah, it's definitely have to go with the wider curves. And if you're doing modern stuff, unfortunately, the last time I've heard, since I don't do modern stuff, but I guess they don't make 4 axle power anymore. It's all 6 axle. Yes, Kato's Thrills Track is very cool. If I remember correctly, they don't. It's only in HO or only in N. It's not in HO scale. Originally, I was thinking about doing it as Proto 87 to make it really look nice and all that, and then as I was thinking, it's like, well, this is supposed to be a display layout, more of a display layout, not really for operations. So it's one of those things of I've decided to bring it back to HO scale and go that direction. Um, the 1870 stuff, I'm thinking it would look real nice in Proto 87, but at the same time, trying to find, I get the impression of trying to find steam engine drivers in Proto 87 is a tad of a challenge. And my third, well, it's not really a layout because I belong to a modular club, the Catskill, Anorak, and Berkshire, which has recently changed its name to the Capital District Model Train Club. Which to me is a little bit too generic because which capital district are you talking about? There's 50 of them in the U.S. But the Catskill, Anorak, and Berkshire, that's all the sort of mountain ranges in the area. Gives it a little bit more regional feel to it. And that I have what I call show trains. Trains that are flashier. Last prototype was the GP60M and the GEBW B48W. Others are gensets. Okay. Yeah, they're for gensets are used for yard use only. And if I remember correctly, they're basically taking in older locomotives, tearing, pretty much tearing or using at least the trucks. I'm not sure if they're actually taking everything off the chassis and basically rebuilding the long hood part of it. When it comes to modern equipment, I lose I honestly lose track after Alco uh, stopped being a locomotive producer. But yeah, the train show ones, like I got a uh, I got the Bowser Aero Train, which uh, I wound up getting a hold of a motor chassis to actually uh, motorize it because I originally bought it unpowered. Uh, then then after getting it powered and all that, then I had to modify the cars because they were too light. But the thing is, they weren't really designed for running. So then I had to modify the wheels and get ones with the intermountain ball bearing wheels on it. Uh, some some brass to keep everything from cracking, etc. And because what had happened is that with the model train club is that somebody it was at a South Glens Falls, New York train show, and one of the guys actually took and made an exact replica of the local that was there. And even the guys who actually operated the train was at the train show. Nobody recognized it because it's what you see normally on a railroad. But what had happened is that's why I decided to go with show trains as okay, it's something different. We used to have our thing that would get the most attention was a little gantry dancer, the Bachmann gantry dancer with two little fine for a while, and then we added switches. And the thing is that the minimum switch number sixes, where the frog is actually longer than the wheelbase of the gantry dancer. And I'm scratching my head of how to find ways to reintroduce the gantry dancer. Um, so far, my attempts have failed, but it's sort of like on the back burner at this point. Santa Fe only model. Hmm. GP60B. What's a GP60B? I am not placing it. I can't, well, it's a modern locomotive, so I can't. Is the B destination the smaller hood, not the safety cab? Oh, looks like we're up to 6 people now. It's a B unit? Wow, I thought they stopped making B units. Uh, I thought they stopped making B units back in the 60s. Hello, model railroader. Who are you talking to specifically? I know Rayron has started his. I think Randall has. Manny Junction is not here, so but he has started his layout. I do not know if who else has a running layout. Mine, mine is at the track install stage. But there's a couple of things that I need to do on the track, and then start adding scenery. I have some buildings that are up and ready to go. One that's in the process of being built. Uh, I model HO. In the My current layout is in the 1870s. Um, I'm not sure if we were here when I was explaining that uh, I do have one full railroad that is currently in storage, which is streetcars in the 1920s. Then I also belong to a modular club where I got the bench work um, the modules, but never got to the point of putting track on it. Uh, how is the 19th century modeling going? It's been going slow because there's things I want to do that uh, I have to get my skill level to the point where I would actually have to scratch build a locomotive, um, especially if I'll do at least one locomotive and try to do it in Proto 87 to see how well that works, and then from there maybe redo redo the track because it's an 8-foot layout. It's very yeah, I can easily take everything apart and uh, go that direction. One of the things I've recently found out, there's a Facebook group talking about uh, it's like a pre 1890 locomotives and all that, and I threw out the question of uh, I have seen locomotives where they're Lincoln pin, but the uh, they have the air hose for the Westinghouse air brake, and apparently there's like a 30-year gap between when they started using the Westinghouse air brake and to they were using uh, I want to say janky, but I'm not quite sure if that's the correct way of saying it. But the knuckle coupler, uh, the invention of the air brake, the Westinghouse air brake was 1871, and the knuckle coupler got popular around turn of the century. Joe's been building his for 5 years, so it runs. That that a lot of times is the most important thing, right? Sometimes people they get up to about running and then stop. They don't get that much farther after that because they're too much having fun with the the logistics part of it, of moving stuff around. There is an ACW Zoom group that's been doing a lot of Bachmann modifications. You wouldn't have to have link to that, would you, Andrew? Yeah, there's a reusing rebuilding old locomotives has a tendency to. I mean, you know, trucks. There's not that much that wears out, and everything. Um, you can replace the wearing parts, and there you go. Well, hello, Chase N Scale. How are you doing? Wow, it's an hour and 8 minutes with 7 people. Was not expecting this, but okay. But yeah, one of the things I want to see about doing is getting uh, Rainbow Bell, saying his name correctly, you know, on my channel every now and then because, well, oh wait a second, your connection is unstable. Please wait until we try reconnecting. Am I frozen? All right, seems fine. All right, still good here. Nice to know. Well, it's one of those things of maybe it's maybe YouTube is being paranoid and going like, we're not getting exactly what's going on. Don't believe it, you are fine. Nice. All right. Well, at least it doesn't say that the host is unstable, which there's a possibility in that. Um, Another thing is that the idea for starting this channel is not necessarily to, you know, be famous or infamous, but um, so, get more of a routine going on. Uh, you know, I seem to work better when I have something scheduled. Heath did the same to you, but yes, I would have to say thanks for everyone from coming on. It looks like I hit 9 at one point, but I'm unstable, my ex said, so it must be true. Well, the thing is, the one thing I got is like, who is stable? But well, it's also a possibility that maybe this connection is. I don't know how long that warning has been up there. So, oh, this is actually set up for top chat, not for. Never did understand the difference between top and live because they seem to be the same. Well, one good thing about being a new channel and all that uh, is that no bots are saying that. Hey, go to this website. So, uh, absolutely, there's a lot of people that are unstable. As I said before, it's like there's a sort of like define what stable is. I think the past couple of years things are have been knocked sort of like knocked off of what's considered stable. But that's also one of the I think that's one of another reasons of starting this channel is sort of a sort of kind of like a therapy session. Yep, you made it when the bots start showing up. Yeah. To be normal is boring. Yeah, but sometimes boring is a good thing. I mean, uh sometimes there could be too much excitement. But the time now is 1 o'clock, and could be unsafe. No, I think anyone who has a hobby has a tendency to be unstable. But the time is now 1 o'clock, and since it's an hour and 14 minutes since I started, my throat's starting to get sore because I don't normally talk this much. But I think it's time to start winding stuff down here. Only 10 a.m. here. So you're out west. Um, as I said, my plan is to start doing more towards of uh, more towards 7 o'clock at Eastern Standard Time. Well, I thank you, Andrew. Just got the Yeah, bank account's gone. I would have to say, out of the hobbies that I have, uh, model trains has been mostly the most consistent. But I absolutely thank everyone for coming. Uh, if you're watching this on the rerun, there's a good chance that we're not. I think I have it set up where only subscribers are able to chat. I think it's one of those things I'm still trying to figure out all the things on YouTube. So if you have, uh, you know, you know, hit, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and why, thank you, Joe. It's one of those things of, you know, trying to emulate what other people are doing, uh, and slowly doing a happy to you also, Randall. Thank you. Trying to think, what are all the YouTube things? Let's see, subscribe, hit the bell notification. That's actually one of the things I want to see about actually getting an actual bell. So instead of using uh, uh, a sound effect, have an actual real bell, and some other things. Yep. Shay's N scale. As I get better at this, I'll be better at notifying people on when I go live and etc. Right now, probably most of the notifications will be on Heath's Discord at this point. Um, but uh, uh, but as I said, thank you, thanks everyone for coming, and have yourself a happy New Year. Um, as for an outro, I'm thinking of using the world needs more love. Find your passion and share it. And that will be the end of the stream. Bye.